In this video, we shall get acquainted with the basic syntax of PHP language. Let us now write a simple hello world application in PHP and see how it can be run from the command line. PHP statements of the block of one or more than one PHP statements are put inside these two lines less than question mark PHP. This marks the beginning of the PHP core, and greater than question mark greater than marks the end of the PHP code. So in between these two, I'm just writing a single statement: echo hello world. Echo and print, these are the two PHP keywords which are almost used similarly to display the output on whatever the output device that is in use. Since we are going to use this or execute this code from the command line, our command prompt or the console terminal will be our output device, so on which you expect this hello world to be printed. So after writing this in number of statements, just save this file as hello.php. So I've already saved this file as hello.php. Now you open the command prompt and go into the directory in which this file has been saved. So this is the folder in which this hello.php is present. So before executing this script from the command line, you have to ensure that the php.exe, the PHP executable, the folder in which this php.exe is provided or present, must be in the path of your operating system. So if it is already there, then all you have to do is to execute this hello.php from the command line by saying php hello.php. So what happens? The statements inside this PHP script will be executed incidentally. There is only one statement, echo hello world. So I should get the hello world message being printed. So that's how you can execute a PHP script from the command line. The hello world application can also be executed as a PHP script in the web page. So this demonstration will show you how to execute the hello world application as a web page. So for that purpose, I have written this HTML code. Remember that any HTML code or HTML script can be saved as a PHP file. But if you want to include a certain PHP code or PHP instructions inside the HTML, then you have to use this line as the mark of beginning of the PHP block of statements less than question mark and PHP. And in order to denote that the PHP script is over, it should be marked by the question mark greater than, inside which you can write as many number of PHP statements as you want. Here I am just using one echo hello world, and this hello world is surrounded by the heading tag, right? And this page this HTML script in which a PHP part is included is saved as hello.php on the document root of our PHP web server, PHP enabled web server. It may be XAMPP or it may be WAMP or it may be any web server that you may want to use. So write the script, save it in the folder which is marked or which is considered as the document root of your web server. Okay. Now after having done this, start your web server. Call it as a localhost because the name of the web server on your machine will anyway be called as localhost. If you want and if it is needed, configure your port number. Default port number is 80, but if it is already occupied by any other web server, change it to whatever you want. Particularly 8080 is the alternative port number that is used. Okay, so perform this. Save this file, start your web server, and now open the browser and visit this page. So web server is running. I'm just giving the URL as localhost hello.php. I should get the hello world message. Remember that the script also carried a title as PHP test that is appearing here, and hello world echo another word statement had a h1 title, so hello world is being displayed in the heading format. So this is how a hello world application executed as a web page that can be done using the web server that we are going to use. Okay. In this video, we should see the web concepts as they are used in a PHP program. So what is the difference between the client-side process and the server-side process? That I will try to explain with the help of this example. This is a simple HTML code. I have saved this as webconcepts.php. On the document root of my web server, this line is a plain HTML which uses the bold and paragraph tags. Okay, so this is the static text. Now this is the JavaScript code. When this part is executed by the browser, it will call this document.write function and return the value of the date function. What this will give you? It will give you the current date as present in the client's computer. And the browser is running on the computer, which is the client. And what is the date as per the client's computer, that will be displayed. And after the execution of this code, the browser will encounter this. This is the embedded PHP code. So as soon as it encounters this PHP part will be executed by the server on the server. So what it will display? It will echo server's date is and the return value of this date function. Now this date will be as per the server's computer, as per the date that is stored inside the server's computer. Okay, so incidentally in this case, both the client script, that is the JavaScript code, and the PHP code are being executed by the same physical computer. But this is the browser, which is the client, and this is the local host, which is the server. Okay, so you may not find the difference between the output of this date and this date. But suppose that this code is placed on a server and it is being accessed by a remote client. So therefore, and that remote client may be in a different time zone altogether. So in that case, this client date may show a different result and this server's date may show a different result. But in here now, in our demonstration, both will be the same because both are executed on the local host. Okay, so what is the output of this program that we will see? So there you go, the server is running and I have given the URL as webconcepts.php. Client side and server side script. This is the HTML text that is being displayed. This is the output of the JavaScript that I was talking about. And this is the output of the PHP code. Okay, so remember that this may be different. If in the real server situation, the code is hosted on a server and the client is somebody else, which may be at different location, which may be having a different time zone. So this report, this date reported and this date reported may be different in a real situation. But since we are using a localhost, both are showing the same day, January 17, January 17. Okay, so that is the way in which client-side script can be embedded inside HTML using JavaScript. Server-side script is your PHP. In this video, we'll have a look at the different arithmetic operators that are available in PHP language. So let us verify the behavior of arithmetic operators with the help of this PHP script. This PHP script starts here. In the beginning, there are two variables, a is equal to 42 and b is equal to 20. And then we are performing the different arithmetic operators one by one, operations one by one. $C is equal to $A plus $B, the values of A plus B will be added. And the result will be stored in C, so you should get and addition operation result is equal to 42. Similarly, here it will be 22. Here the multiplication will be 840. Here the division is expected to be 2.1. Whereas the modulus operation 42 divided by 20, the integer division is 2. This will increment the value of A. A was 42, it will become 43. And then again, if I immediately decrement it, it should be again 42. That is the expected output of this program. If I save it on the document root of my Z server, that is htdocs, the name of the script will be edit.awk.php. So open the browser after starting the server, of course, and give the address localhost 8080 edit.awk.php, and then see whether the same expected result is obtained. So this is the browser's page. The same address that has been given at the top.php. Addition is 62, subtraction 22, multiplication 840, division 2.1, mod 2, increment and decrement. So that is how the result will be displayed. So this is the behavior of our arithmetic operators. In this video, I'll explain to you the different assignment operators in PHP. Okay, so this PHP script uses all the different assignment operators. So to begin with, I have defined these two variables A and B equal to 42 and 20 respectively. So the basic assignment operator is equal to. So what this will do, it will perform the expression on the right hand side, that is the addition of A and B will be done and it will be assigned to C. So it is a basic assignment operator, result will be 62. Then I am using this plus equal to operator. Inside all this plus equal to, minus equal to, star equal to, slash equal to, and mod equal to. These assignment operators are really what you can call a cumulative assignment operators. That means what? This plus equal to is really equivalent of saying C is equal to C plus A. So if the value of C has become 62, so C plus A will become 104 and that will be assigned to C. So the result of this C plus equal to A should be equal to 104. Same thing is true with this minus equal to, which is equal to saying C is equal to C minus A. So anyway, the C had become 104 here as a result of this. So here it will again be back to 62. So subtract and assignment operation result should be equal to 62. Similarly, star equal to is multiply C by A and assign back to C. So it should be 104 multiplied by 62 multiplied by 42 will be 2604. That should be the result. Similarly, the divide and assign operator, the result should be 264 divided by 42. So divide and assignment operation result, I expect it to be equal to 62. And finally, the mod operation C mod equal to A, that is really equivalent to C equal to C mod A. So our C will finally, C should have become actually As a result of this operation, 62. So 62 more 42. 62 divided by 42 is 1 and remaining is 20. So more operation anyway results the remaining value. So the output should be 20. So that is my expected behavior. Let me see. What I will do, I will save this script on the document folder htdocs and open it from the server by giving the address localhost 8080. The name of the script is assignop.php. So let me open the browser and see the output of this PHP script. So there you go. The addition operation result is 62, which is 42 plus 20. C is equal to C plus B, A 104. C is equal to C minus A, multiplication, cumulative multiplication, cumulative division, and finally the cumulative more. So this is the behavior of all the cumulative assignment operators in PHP. In this video, we shall see one of the comparison operators that are defined in PHP. In this example, the comparison operators in PHP, they have been demonstrated. So this is where the PHP script starts, and in the beginning, we have defined two variables a and b equal to 42 and 20 respectively. So all the arithmetic the comparison operators are being used here. For instance, here $a is equal to $b. This is the comparison operator, checking the equality of the two operands. Now remember that all the comparison operators return either true or false value. So if this is true, then I want the first statement to be printed or displayed on my browser. A is equal to B. Otherwise, that means if this result of this comparison operation, equality operation is false, then I should get the output A is not equal to B. Now the same technique is used for all the operators. This is greater than and checking whether A is greater than B. If true, then this will be printed because in our case A is indeed greater than B, so therefore I expect this line to be printed. A is less than B, no, so therefore A is not less than B. The else part will be executed. Of course, the use of conditional statements if else, that will be demonstrated in some of the other videos. But here again the inequality operation is being tested. If the value of this expression a not equal to b is true, which is in fact it is true, a is not equal to b, so therefore I will get the output as a is not equal to b. Similarly, greater than or equal to and less than or equal to. So these are the comparison operators: equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. So we should save this file PHP script as comp.php in the document server on the XAMPP server, that is htdocs, and open the script in the browser when the server is already running. So let us see how the output, whether it is as per our expectations or not. Right. So there you go, the test one, which tests the equality, whether A is equal to B. A is greater than B. This is true, so therefore it will print the true part. We also print the true part. A is not less than B. A is not equal to B. And the values of the operators greater than or less than or equal to B. This is as per our expectation. So that's how the comparison operators are used in a PHP script. we should see a very typical operator called a conditional operator. Okay. Now in this script, the use of the conditional operator in PHP is demonstrated. Actually, the conditional operator is also called as the ternary operator because it requires three different operands for the operation. And the use is as per this statement. Here, the logical expression is put inside this bracket $a greater than $b. Now this logical expression will be either true or false. If this is true, then the statement after the question mark will be executed. If this is false, then the statement after the colon will be executed. So if I am saying result equal to a greater than b question mark a colon b, so that means what will happen if this expression is true, then a will be assigned to result, otherwise b will be assigned to result. So it is as if it is a short form of a regular if statement. If a greater than b, then result equal to a, otherwise or else result equal to b. So this is the behavior of this conditional operator. So we shall put this script on the document server, a document root of our server, and open it in the browser. So the output is as per our expectation. Initially a greater than b, result equal to a greater than b, a colon b. So result will be 20, and a less than b, question mark a colon b, result will be equal to 10. So this is the conditional operator in PHP. In this video, I'll tell you about the file input output operations and how they are done in PHP language. Okay, so with the help of this example, I'll now show you how to perform the read-write operations on a file object. Actually, I'm going to show you two different PHP scripts, one for writing the data into a file and another for reading it from the file. So first the write operation. I have to use a function called as fopen, which is a inbuilt or predefined function in PHP. It takes two arguments, the name of the file to be open and the mode. Here in this case I am using the W mode because I want to create a new file. The name of the file is new file.txt. If at all this file opening operation is not successful, I want to quit the program by giving the message error in opening a new file because of any reason. Okay, then the fwrite is a function which writes the data into the file. This file is a variable which refers to the file pointer of the open file. So fwrite function takes two arguments, the pointer to the file that is open and the data to be written into. I am initializing this str variable with this string. Incidentally, if you remember, this is a here doc syntax of creating a multi-line string. So fwrite function will write this string into the file, the name of the file will new file.txt. After completion of the writing operation, I would close the file and display the message file created successfully. So if I execute this file and go back to my document root folder of the server, then I should see a new file.txt created there. Okay, so let us try running and look for that new file.txt if it is created or not. So I am giving this URL file write.txt. I should get a message file created successfully. So let us go into the document root folder and whether that file is created and whether it contains the data that we have written in our script. So this is the new file.txt. If I open using my editor, I see the contents. This is the first line, second line, third line, etc. That was what that str string contained. So the writing operation is successful. Now we go and read it. This is the PHP script for reading back the data in the new file.txt. So fopen function is again used to open the file in the read mode. R is for read mode. Again, this error checking mechanism I am using. If the file is unable to be opened, display the error message and exit. If it is successfully opened, then what I want to do, read one line at a time and display it. So fgetS is another file function which reads one string at a time from the pointer which is pointing towards this file that is open. So it will get one string from the file and display. Likewise, I want to keep on doing this till I reach the end of file. So FEOF is a function which detects the end of file. So while not FOF file, that means what? Till the time there is data, there are lines in the file, keep on reading and displaying. As soon as the end of file is encountered, this loop will terminate, file will be closed. So if we run this, we should get back the data that was written. This is first line, second line, third line, etc. Read back from it and display it on the browser. So let us try this also. So I am entering the URL as fileread.php, and if I enter it, this was the data in it. This is the first line, second line, third line. So this is how you read back the contents of the file using the fopen in R mode. Fopen in W mode will write, fopen in R mode will read back. Okay, so this is the example of reading and writing operation in PHP. In this video, we shall see how the input-output operations are executed in the console mode for a PHP program. So console IO. So here we perform simple console input-output operations using the fscanf and fprintf functions. This program can be run from the command prompt giving the php.exe path. Okay, so fscanf is the function which accepts input from the stream. Here the stream is S3IN, which is a standard input stream which is defined in PHP, and it is going to accept the data from the standard input device into the variable called as A. And because the data that is input is going to be stored in the form of integer, I am using the format specifier as %d. So if you are familiar with the scanf function in C, you will be able to understand this. So fscanf in is the stream from which the input is read into the variable A using the format specifier %d for integer. Same statement or same syntax is also used for reading the data into B. It is also reading the input from the S3IN, that is the standard input stream, into B in the form of integer. This is the simple formula for calculation of area, which is linked into build. And now you want to redirect the value of C towards the std out. So fprintf function displays the output or writes the data into this string. This is the standard output string. So area is equal to %d format specifier is used to display the value of C in integer form. So this is a very simple demonstration of console input output in PHP in console mode. So we'll go to the command prompt and execute this program PHP area.php from the command line. Okay. So this is the directory in which this area.php is stored, and the execution is simple PHP area.php. Provided php.exe is in the path of our system, this area.php will be executed. First statement is fscanf, enter the length, I give some number, enter the breadth, I give some other number, area is equal to 200. So that is how a console input output operations can be done using the standard library functions fscanf and fprintf. Of course, fscanf and fprintf can have, here in this case, the streams are predefined strings. We are using std_in and std_out. Instead of that, the strings could be any file stream, so that we will see in our next discussion. But for the time being, this is the console input output operation. In this video, we shall have a look at the different decision-making statements that are available in PHP. So this example is used to demonstrate the behavior of if, else if, and else, the conditional statements in PHP. Now for this purpose, I'm using a built-in function in PHP called as ran. This generates a random number between the two parameters that I have given, 1 to 100. So every time it will generate a number between 1 to 100. Now all I have to do is to check whether it lies in a particular range. So to begin with, if x is less than 25, I have to just print the prompt number less than 25. Else if the number is not less than 25, then I want to check it whether it is less than 50. If it is so, then I'll print number is between 25 to 50. Else, that means if both the conditions are not true, then the control of the program will land into the last or the final else. So you can have a series of else if statements to relegate or discard the different conditions that may be present in this entire decision logic. So here the first condition, if this is not true, the second condition, and if all the previous cases or conditions are not true, then the program will land into the final else. So this is the use of if, else, else if, and else. So let us see how it behaves. Of course, the number we generated will be the random number, so every time you may find different outcome being generated. So let us run it a couple of times and see the result. So the server is running, and I have opened the browser in which I am giving the address localhost if statement.php, the script that we have written. I have saved it as if statement.php in the document root of the server, web server. So I just press enter. At this point of time, the random number generated is 52 with 53, and therefore it is greater than or equal to 50. Again, if I run it, it may generate a different number, and the different result number is greater than 50. Again, fortunately, all the time the number is greater than 50 is appearing. You may get some number. The numbers are being randomized, but I wondered, yeah, so this is random number 5, number is less than 25. So the randomization also is taking the accuracy, and the if statement result is also appearing as per the requirement. In this video, I'll explain to you the use of while loop in a PHP program. So let us now see the execution of while loop as it is used in PHP. So in this code, I have two while loops in action. This is one and this is another. So in first case, the initial value of a variable that is controlling the loop is I equal to 0. And I want to execute these two statements. Run these two statements, increment the value of I and print it out. So long as the value of I is less than 10. So what we will expect starting from I is equal to 1, the number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is the expected output of this loop. Okay. In the second example, again, I'm using the rand function to generate a random number between 1 to 10, and that is the value of x. And the loop is expected to keep on repeating till x is not equal to 5. So depending on the possibility or the probability of the what random number is generated at that point of time, yes, the loop may go on for 1, 2, 5, 9, 100 number of repetitions, or it may even terminate in the very first place where probability of the first random number itself being equal to 5 will be there. So the output will be unpredictable, so to say, because it involves a random number, and so long as a random number is not equal to 5, this loop is going to run. This is a straightforward 1 to 10 output. This is of course a random output till the number generated is not equal to 5. Okay, so these two examples now I will show you. I have saved this file as while.php and start the server, open the browser, give the URL of this. Right. Okay, so now the server is running in the browser. I'm giving localhost while.php. Just press enter. This is the output of the first while loop. Generates numbers from 1 to 10. This is the output of the loop having a random number, and the loop is expected to go on till it encounters a 5. So as soon as the number is 5, the loop is terminated. So that many number of times x was generated, it was not equal to 5. If I again run it, the second loop output may be different. See, only the second occurrence of the random number is equal to 5. So after the two iterations, the loop terminated. That can vary as see the first number itself is 5. So this is how the while loop behaves in a PHP script. In this video, I'll tell you about the break statement in PHP. So let me now show you the use of break statement in a loop. Actually, we have already used this break keyword, but it was used in association with the switch case. And after the statements in a particular case are over, you generally use a break statement as the last in that particular case in order to take the control out of the switch block. Here also, the break statement is used to terminate or abandon the loop before its designated number of repetitions. So for example, here I am using a while loop, and the control of this while loop is done by this while variable y, which is set to equal to 0, and this loop is expected to repeat till y less than 10. So every time when y is incremented and the loop is repeated, normally this loop is expected to run 10 times. Okay. Inside the loop, what I'm doing, I'm generating a random number from between 1 to 10 and assigning it to x, and I'm just printing it out. Had this statement had this statement not been there, then what would have happened? It would have generated 10 random numbers, and 10 number of repetitions would have taken place. But I want the loop to be terminated as soon as or as and if x is found to be equal to 5. So x being the random number, it may never occur within the 10 number of repetitions. So only different 10 numbers will be printed. But if it all x happens to be equal to 5, the loop will be terminated. So there is a possibility that 10 different random numbers, none of which is equal to 5, will be printed. And there is also a possibility that after generating one or two or a couple of random numbers, x happens to be equal to 5, the loop will be terminated. So that is the purpose of back statement inside the loop to take the control out of the current loop and abandon the loop. That's what. Okay, so I have saved this file as break.php. Now I will run this file from the server. Okay, the server is running and the URL is localhost break.php. There you see the loop goes on running till it encounters 5. So it may be the case that only the second occurrence is equal to 5. So the loop will be terminated before it reaches the 10 number of repetitions. There you see. Every time the different result may appear because the random number will be equal to 5 at any number of repetitions. So the bottom line is that the break statement is used to abandon or terminate the loop before it completes its pre-decided or designated number of iterations. In this video, we shall see the use of continue statement in PHP. So in this example, the continue statement is used inside a while loop. So what does the continue statement do? In fact, continue is somewhat opposite to what the break does. We have seen that the break inside the while loop, if break is encountered, the loop will be terminated and it will abandon the remaining number of operations or iterations of a loop. Continue on the other hand will restart the loop from the beginning. It will discard or abandon the remaining statements in the current iteration and start the next iteration. So that is how the continue behaves. So in this example, actually I should write this as continue. Right. There is a loop which is controlled by the variable y is equal to 0 in the beginning, and while loop is expected to go up to y less than 10. And every time y is incremented and a random number is generated and it is printed. So if this number was not present, rather if this statement was not present, then what would have happened? 10 different random numbers would have been generated and printed. Okay, so it is printing the value of y and x. So y is equal to 1, whatever the number was generated. So 10, y is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 up to 10 it will go, and corresponding the values of x will be printed. If this statement is removed. But if this is the case, then anytime if the random number generated is equal to 5, this statement will not be printed. And it will go to the next iteration of the loop. Y will take the next value, and again the random number will be generated. If it again is equal to 5, it will skip this statement and go back. If it is not, then this will be printed and the loop will be continued till y is less than 10. So 10 number of repetitions will take place. But this statement will be printed or not will depend on the value of x. If it is equal to 5, this will be skipped and the next iteration will take place. So that is how this continue statement works. I have saved this file as continue.php and the server will start. I will go to the browser and give this URL as this one. Okay. So the server is running. I give the URL as continue.php and press enter. Then you see the number of iterations are 1 to 10, but the second iteration has been skipped because the value that has been generated might have been equal to 5. So it skipped the subsequent print or echo statement, and the number of repetitions have gone up to 10. Again, refresh it, it may give different output. In this case, even after 10 iterations, the random number 5 was not generated. So all the 10 iterations have appeared. In this case, the iteration number 5 is skipped because, obviously, because x would have been equal to 5. So that is how. Here again, all the 10. Here again, all the 10. You see, 7 and 8 are skipped. That is because, obviously, x would have been equal to 5. So this is the behavior of the continuous statement. If your programming logic requires multiple if statements, a switch case statement is also available. So you can use that in this particular situation. So in this example, I will show you the use of switch case, another conditional statement in PHP, where the different cases or different possibilities of a switching variable are persist. Right, so therefore, for this example, I am also using the rand function, and the rand function is used 3 times to generate 3 random numbers. First 2 random numbers are between 1 to 10. These are going to be used as the operands for the addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division operations. Which operation is to be done will be decided by the third random number between 1 to 4. So these 3 random numbers x, y, z will be printed as they are generated. Now since my addition, subtraction, multiplication, division operations are going to be decided by the value of the z variable, I am using switch z. So if the value of z happens to be 1, the case 1 will be satisfied because z is equal to 1. Addition will be done and the control will break out of this switch to this output statement. You know that each case must be having this last statement as break in order to prevent the program control from falling through the entire cascade of switches, the cases. So every case has a break at the end. Of course, this is not required because this is the last one. Okay, so the result is expected result is very obvious. 2 random numbers from 1 to 10 will be generated. Third random number between 1 to 4 will be generated. Depending on the value of z, switching will take place. Each z is equal to 1 addition, 2 subtraction, multiplication and division. Okay, and whatever the result will be printed. So I have saved this file as switch.php in the document root of the web server. With the web server running, we'll enter this file as a URL and see the result. We'll of course run it a couple of times to see the different randomization of the results. Okay. So I've entered the URL as localhost switch.php and enter. Numbers line 4, operation code is 3, result is 36. Again executed numbers 8, 6, operation code 2, result is 2. So it is fairly accurate. 3, 4, 5, result is 0.8, that being a division. 7, 10, again the division is 0.7. So 110 addition, result is 11. So that's how the output is going to come as a result of the switch case functionality of our conditional statements in PHP. In this video, let us get acquainted with the idea of class and object and how it is created or how it is used in PHP language. Let us now put all these object-oriented programming principles in a practical example. The script that I have shown in front of you is called as book class.php, and it is based on the document server of our web server. The name of the class is books, and in which two data members or member variables are defined as price and title, whereas there are a couple of member functions, of which this is a constructor. Remember that the constructor in PHP is having a name construct itself, which is having a prefix of double underscore. Okay, and the two arguments that the object is going to receive. For example, if this is the construction of the object of the books class, and I'm saying physics is equal to new books. How many arguments? Two arguments I am passing to the constructor. So the constructor will take two arguments. First argument is given to the title member variable of the class, and the second argument is given to the price. So this arrow title is equal to par 1, that is parameter 1, and this price is equal to parameter 2. So this is the behavior of the constructor. Right. Then there are some set and get functions, which are called setters and getters. So set price will receive one parameter, and the received parameter is stored as the price of price variable, the value of the price variable of the object. So this price is equal to parameter. Similarly, there is a get price, which will return the value of the price parameter, price member variable of the object. Similarly, there is a set title and get title. In addition to that, there is a get details method inside the class, which will just display the value of title and price of the calling object. Remember that this in a variable, the special variable called as this shows the reference or the address of the calling object that you are going to use to fetch the value of the title and price of the calling object. So this is the entire class. Okay. Now we are going to create three objects. Remember that in order to create a object, you have to use the new operator. So new books, physics is equal to new books. Two parameters, we have decided to send two parameters to assign the data to two member variables of the object. So this is the title, price. New books, maths is equal to new books, chemistry is equal to new books. So these are the three objects that are declared and initialized by the constructor. Just print out the values that have been stored in these two objects called the get details function. So it will print the title and price associated with the physics object and chemistry object, as well as the maths object also. Okay, now I will call the set price method physics arrow set price. So this set price method will be called, and the value that is going to pass is 25. So what happens? The 25 becomes the value of this parameter, and that will be assigned to this arrow price. Here this will refer to the physics object. So in effect, what is going to happen? Initially, the value of the price number variable of the physics object was 10. Now it will be set to 25. Similarly, I am changing the title of the maths object. So I call the set title. And then just to verify, the changes are to be displayed by calling the get details. Then what I'm doing is This is the get price method I showed you, which will return the price of the calling object. So I'm returning the price parameter of first object, second object, and third object, and I'm adding it into a variable total, and then I'm printing it out. So all the elements of the object-oriented programming principles are used here: how to declare the class, how to declare the object, how to press the constructor into action, and how to call the different number functions inside of the class. So let us run this script book class.php and see what are the different results that may be generated. Okay, so I have started the server and giving the URL as book class.php. This is the output. 3 objects were declared. For each object, the constructor was called into picture, and the values are the object is initialized. Then we go on to change the price of object named as physics by calling the set price, and then you call the set title. Whatever changes have been done, they have been displayed in these two outputs. And then finally, you call the get price for each object, and the get price returns the price, which is an integer, and then you perform the addition, which will give you the total cost. So that is the demonstration of the class and object as used in a PHP language. In this video, we shall get acquainted with the basic syntax of PHP language. Let us now write a simple hello world application in PHP and see how it can be run from the command line. PHP statements of the block of one or more than one PHP statements are put inside these two lines less than question mark PHP. This marks the beginning of the PHP code, and greater than question mark greater than marks the end of the PHP code. So in between these two, I'm just writing a single statement: echo hello world. Echo and print, these are the two PHP keywords which are almost used similarly to display the output on whatever the output device that is in use. Since we are going to use this or execute this code from the command line, our command prompt or the console terminal will be our output device, so on which you expect this hello world to be printed. So after writing this in number of statements, just save this file as hello.php. So I've already saved this file as hello.php. Now you open the command prompt and go into the directory in which this file has been saved. So this is the folder in which this hello.php is present. So before executing this script from the command line, you have to ensure that the php.exe, the PHP executable, the folder in which this php.exe is provided or present, must be in the path of your operating system. So if it is already there, then all you have to do is to execute this hello.php from the command line by saying php hello.php. So what happens? The statements inside this PHP script will be executed incidentally. There is only one statement: echo hello world. So I should get the hello world message being printed. So that's how you can execute a PHP script from the command line. The hello world application can also be executed as a PHP script in the web page. So this demonstration will show you how to execute the Hello World application as a web page. So for that purpose, I have written this HTML code. Remember that any HTML code or HTML script can be saved as a PHP file. But if you want to include a certain PHP code or PHP instructions inside the HTML, then you have to use this line as the mark of beginning of the PHP block of statements less than question mark and PHP. And in order to denote that the PHP script is over, it should be marked by the question mark greater than, inside which you can write as many as number of PHP statements as you want. Here I am just using one echo hello world, and this hello world is surrounded by the heading tag, right? And this page this HTML script in which a PHP part is included is saved as hello.php on the document root of our PHP web server, PHP enabled web server. It may be XAMPP or it may be WAMP or it may be any web server that you may want to use. So write the script, save it in the folder which is marked or which is considered as the document root of your web server. Okay. Now after having done this, start your web server. Call it as a localhost because the name of the web server on your machine will anyway be called as localhost. If you want and if it is needed, configure your port number. Default port number is 80, but if it is already occupied by any other web server, change it to whatever you want. Particularly 8080 is the alternative port number that is used. Okay, so perform this, save this file, start your web server, and now open the browser and visit this page. So the web server is running. I'm just giving the URL as localhost hello.php. I should get the hello world message. Remember that the script also carried a title as PHP test that is appearing here, and hello world echo another word statement had a h1 tag used. So hello world is being displayed in the heading format. So this is how a hello world application executed as a web page that can be done using the web server that we are going to use. Okay. In this video, we should see the web concepts as they are used in a PHP program. So what is the difference between the client-side process and the server-side process? That I will try to explain with the help of this example. This is a simple HTML code. I have saved this as webconcepts.php on the document root of my web server. This line is a plain HTML which uses the bold and paragraph tags. Okay, so this is the static text. Now this is the JavaScript code. When this part is executed by the browser, it will call this document.write function and return the value of the date function. What is it give you? It will give you the current date as present in the client's computer. The browser is running on the computer which is the client. And what is the date as per the client's computer, that will be displayed. And after the execution of this code, the browser will encounter this. This is the embedded PHP code. So as soon as it encounters this PHP part will be executed by the server on the server. So what it will display? It will echo server's date is and the return value of this date function. Now this date will be as per the server's computer, as per the date that is stored inside the server's computer. Okay, so Incidentally, in this case, both the client script, that is the JavaScript code, and the PHP code are being executed by the same physical. In this video, I'll tell you about the MySQL API, which is a part of the PHP software. So with the help of this example, let us try and understand the features of MySQL API. Before going on to explain this code, let me tell you that this MySQL API has been deprecated since the PHP 7. So if you have in your computer PHP 7 installed, then this code may not work. Instead, you will have to get a PHP 5 or earlier version installed on your computer so that this MySQL API can be used. So for this purpose, I have installed a WAMP server in which, in addition to the Apache server and MySQL software, the PHP version 5 is available. So let me show you the homepage of the WAMP server. So this is the WAMP server homepage. You can see that the PHP version 5.3.10 is the version that is installed on it, and the extension that is available is MySQL. So the MySQL API functions can be run on this particular configuration. So PHP MyAdmin is the GUI interface for managing the MySQL database. So if I open this to show you the different databases that are stored on the server, and the rest of the menus are provided by which you can add the data, insert the data, clear the table, etc. etc. We are of course not going to do anything from this. This is just a verification. This will be a verification of all the activities that you will do from the PHP side. Okay, so this is where your data will come and stay. Okay, so let us go back to the PHP code now. So first is the execution of MySQL connect function, which enables or which establishes the connection of your PHP program with the MySQL server. And it needs three parameters: the name of the host, username, and password. So they have been set here. If these credentials are found to be correct, this connection resource will be created. If not, then I want to terminate the entire program, so therefore I am executing the entire function with this particular error message. Otherwise, I'll go on to create a database for us test.db. So this is the SQL statement that I want to execute. Create database test.db. And in order to execute the SQL query, a function in MySQL API is MySQL query. It needs two objects, two rather parameters. One is the query, another is the connection object that we have created here. This query does not get run properly. This return value will not be created. In that case also I want to terminate. But if it does go ahead, then I want to create a table. So this is the query of create table, in which the table structure is given here. How many fields are there? Employee name, employee address, employee salary. Its type and its size are mentioned here, and some other constraints are also mentioned, like for example, name cannot be null. In fact, all of them are not specified to be marked null. And in addition to that, a fourth field is also present, employee ID, which is an integer, which is not null, and it is auto increment also. And that employee ID has been stipulated to be a primary key of this particular table. So a table of this structure is to be created. So before running this query, I have to use the test DB, the database that was created in the previous step. Now that database is brought into use by a function mysql select DB. And inside that, this table needs to be created. So again, execute the query, mysql query. If the table is properly created, if not, then stop. Otherwise, use the message table created and go on to execute the insert query. Insert query takes this following form. Insert into the table name. Here in our case, the name of the table is employee. So insert name employee followed by the field structure. The structure of the table. How many fields? Name, address, and employee or salary. You don't have to give the ID field because it is auto incrementable. So automatically, as the number of records go on adding, the employee ID is anyway going to be incremented automatically. One of the values correspondingly, name will take Raju, address will take Mandir, and salary will take 1,000 or 10,000. So such a query, insert query is to be executed. So again execute my SQL query. This is the string of query and the connection object. If properly executed, just display a enter data successfully message. And finally, go on to close the connection that you created in the very first place by saying mysql close. So this is the entire PHP script which will interact with the MySQL database. We open the connection, create the database, create the table, and insert the record. So all these activities will be done if you run this MySQL 1.php in your browser. Okay, so this was the explanation of the code. Now we will run it and see the result. Okay. So as I give this URL mysql 1.php, you see the messages that are displayed in the browser's page. Connected successfully. This was when the MySQL connect function was properly executed. Test DB was created. Table employee was created, and one record was successfully entered or inserted inside the table. So this was the operation that was done. But we will have to verify this by going actually into our PHP MyAdmin, see that the database, the table, and the record is created. So for that purpose, this is our MyAdmin. I have to refresh this so that the test DB newly created database is visible here. Open this. This is a table called as employee which was just created. Click on this. This was the record that was added into the table by our PHP script. So this confirms that all the MySQL functions, MySQL API functions that we used in our PHP script have worked properly. Okay, so this was our first exercise. So the second example shows you how you can insert a record into a MySQL table by entering the data into an HTML form. So this script, if you open it in a browser, mysql2.php is the name that I've given. If you open it in a browser, for the first time, it will open a form. So I'll show you the HTML form code here. This is the form from this point to this point. This is the form inside which in a two-column table, what we have entered or what we have created is an input name is equal to employee name of the type text to enter the main, to enter the address, to enter the salary. So it is simply a form with three text fields and of course a button. Importantly, the form attributes that are given are form method is equal to post and action is equal to PHP self. That means what? The data will be posted to this same script. So obviously when the first occurrence or first time when this PHP script will be displayed, the submit button might not have been pressed. Obviously not submit has not been pressed. So when the as the page starts opening in your browser, this each set will fail because submit has not been pressed. The name of the button in this case is add. So this is not pressed, so therefore this part will not be executed, which part from here to here. And so therefore it will run into this form. So form will be open, user will enter the data and press the submit button. The subsequently this post $cost add will be true. Then actually the insertion operation will start. All the required credentials are given here. Host name, username, password using which the connection is established, and the form data which is stored in the $post server variable, super global server variable, from which the data is fetched and stored into the PHP variables temp name, address, and salary. Use these variables to execute the insert query. Insert into employee. These are the names of the fields, and these are the values that are fetched from the form. Right? So this insert query is to be executed. Doing the same thing, selecting a database and executing the query. If all goes well, the message enter the data successfully should appear on your screen. So let us run this mysql2.php. One record is already there, which we have entered by hard coding the values into the insert query. Now we will fill up the new record by accepting it from an HTML form. So let us run this mysql2.php. So as I enter the URL mysql2.php in my browser, an HTML form is open in which these three text fields are there to enter the name, address, and survey, and then there is a submit button. So some data I will introduce or insert. Something like this. And let's submit. Now that the data will be posted back to the same script in which on the top there is a PHP code to establish the connection and insert the records. So that will be executed and the data will be successfully entered. So again go back to our PHP myadmin and see whether the newly inserted record does appear in it or not. So to refresh this and again open employee. There you go, the two records are now visible. So interactively by taking the user from the input, you can add the data into a backend MySQL table. That's how this script will allow you to do that. Okay. The third example in this continuation is regarding the reading of the data from a table using a select query and using the MySQL API functions. So how to read the data from the MySQL table. Again, starting with the same sequence of events, MySQL connect function to establish the connection. Select the database you want to process the test DB. What is the query to be executed? Simply select star from employee. In order to execute query, the function is MySQL query. Because now this is the select query, the return value of this MySQL query function will be a result set. So this result variable is the result set. Using the MySQL API functions like MySQL number of rows, it gives me how many records are there in the table. And MySQL number fields will give me how many fields are there in my select query. Okay, so I'll run a nested for loop situation where the upper loop and outer loop will run from 0 to the number of fields. In our case, there are 3 fields, like name, address, and salary. And the inner loop has many number of rows. Right now, In our example, we inserted 2 records, so the number of rows is 2. So each time when a row is fetched from the result set, the row will be an associative array, and using the index of the fields as the index of that associative array, row of j will be jth field in the table. So when j is equal to 0, it will give me name, address, and city. All these 3 fields will be put into 3 cells of one row. You see that I have started a table by equal table order is equal to 1. In the first row, all the field names have been displayed into one row. So you start a row, then add a td tag, insert or put the field name. The first field name j will be the loop which will control the value of the field name. So result j will be 0, result 0. The 0th field will be there, 1 and 2. So likewise, name, address, and salary. These field names will be the column names of my table. And these two nested for loops will fetch one row at a time and display the contents of each table in that row in separate td tags. So that's how the table will be formed. So if I run this script now, what I should see on my browser, a table showing the records divided into rows and columns. So let us run this and see what happens. So the mysql3.php is open in the browser, and you can see the first row of the table is all the field names, ID, name, address, and salary, and each row is subsequently displayed according to their field names. So that is how the data is extracted from the table and displayed on the browser with the help of the MySQL functions. In this video, we shall come to know about the MySQL API. Now for MySQL API, in order to display or demonstrate the use of MySQL API, this is the first example in which the procedural interface is used. And using the procedural functions, here I am showing you how you can display records by selecting the records from a table. So in other words, I want to execute the select star from employee query and display the result to see as to how many records are there. So if you try to compare every function in MySQL I with MySQL, you will find that only difference probably is the adding I into the name of the function. Instead of MySQL connect, there will be MySQL I connect and so on. Before that, let me tell you one more thing, that MySQL I API is available in all the PHP installations with PHP 5 as well as PHP 7. So if you have a PHP 7 module installed in your bundle, especially the web server bundle containing Apache, MySQL, and PHP. If you have a latest XAMPP server, then this 7 version of PHP will be available, and this code will actually indeed run on the XAMPP with PHP 7 also. So I also am going to show you the execution on the XAMPP server itself. So for that, let me start the XAMPP server and show you the home page, and English PHP 7 is present and MySQL I has been enabled. So let me show you that. So this is the home page of XAMPP server, and go on to click this PHP info. The PHP version is 7, and down the line if you go and search for MySQL I, it will show you the presence of MySQL I API, so which means that MySQL API functions will now be executable on this. Okay, so let us go back to the PHP script which shows the procedural functions used from this MySQL API. So starting with MySQL connect, this function also requires the arguments like localhost, root is the username, the password, no password has been set, and the name of the table to be connected, rather name of the database to be connected. So this will create a connection resource. If unable to connect, then there will be some error. You will display the error message properly to tell the user that the connection has not been established. Otherwise, execute the select query, select start from employee by MySQL query instead of MySQL query was the earlier in the earlier days. Right? In the result, how many number of rows have appeared that can be found by the function MySQL num rows. Okay, and run a loop over it and fetch one row at a time and display the contents of the row 0, row 1, row 2, row 3 will respectively be displaying the values of employee ID, name, address and salary. All these things will be displayed in one for one record. Such like as many number of records are there, that many times this loop will run. Okay, so just the equivalent activity of MySQL API in which also you ran through the entire result set to display the records. So let us run this program and see. We now know that there are two records into it. I wonder how many records are there, that many records will be displayed. Let us see how many records are there. So there are these two records in this employee table. We should be able to get the two records when we run our PHP script MySQL i.php. So let us run it. So there you see MySQL i.php has been executed in the browser. Employee ID 1, name Raju, address Nanded. This is our first record, and this is the second record. So the contents of the two records in the table have been displayed while the procedural interface functions of MySQL API. Okay. Next, let us see the use of MySQL functions which have an object-oriented approach towards the database handling activities. So what you have to do first and foremost, you have to create an object of MySQL class. So this is the statement CONN is equal to new MySQL. The constructor takes three arguments: name of the server, which is localhost, username is root, password has not been set. So all these credentials are required to set up a MySQL object. If not properly configured, it will result into an error, display the error message and stop the execution. Otherwise, go on to the next step. Execute this query. Create database testdb. Okay, all you have to do is to execute a MySQL object arrow query function. Query function will take this argument. If this function is properly executed, it will return true. And if it is true, then give a message database created successfully, otherwise give an error message. Right? Next step is to select the newly created database by using the selectDB function of the MySQL class. And then you have to run a query which will create a table. Create table employ the syntax of the create table employee is according to the standard SQL syntax, in which name, address, and salary are the fields. Their data type and size is mentioned along with the different constraints. In addition, this employee ID table field is also specified, which will be acting as a primary key. Again, query is executed by the query method or function inside the MySQLi class. If executed properly, the success message will be displayed, otherwise the error message will display. And finally, you will have to execute an insert query. Insert into employee, these are the field names and these are the values. Execute the query. If success, give the success message, otherwise give the failure message. And lastly, close the connection by calling the close method of the MySQLi class. Okay, so this is exactly the same activity we are doing, but now we are using an object-oriented approach that is provided by the MySQLi API. So let us run this MySQLi1.php. Before actually executing this script, I will have to ensure that the test DB that was created as a result of the earlier example, that test DB I will have to remove from my MySQL server. Then only I will be able to run this. Otherwise, it will result into an error that the database is already existing and none of the other steps will be executed. So I will first delete that and then run this. Okay. So if I execute this MySQLi1.php, you find that the successful execution of the statements, those messages have come up. Connected successfully, database created successfully, table employee created successfully, and new record created successfully. Actually, I should have given a BR at the end of each so that the error messages would have come one below the other. But anyways, the operation has been done successfully. So let us go back to the PHP MyAdmin and check whether the testDB database, the employee table, and the record has been added into it. So this is our admin. To fetch this, testDB is created, employee is created, and this record Rajiv Namdev 10,000 is created. So the object-oriented interface is working perfectly fine in this case. The next example to show the functionality of MySQLi API is to show the contents of a table by running a select query over it. Okay, so doing the same sequence of steps again, create a new MySQLi object. If the connection is properly executed, show the success message, otherwise show the failure message. Then go on to the next step. You want to execute now the select star from employee query. Okay, in order to do that, call the query method of the MySQLi class by its object. So con arrow query, the query is the SQL string that is given. So the result is the return value of this query function is a result set. So result is equal to con arrow query. From this result set, find out how many number of rows are present in that by calling this NUMROS, number of rows. Remember that this is not a function, but this is a property which is associated with the result set. Similarly, the property of field count will give me how many fields are there. Okay, so use these two variables, num result and num fields, to design a first row of a table which you are going to create in HTML. Inside that table, the first row will contain the headings. The names of the columns of the table will act as the heading for the entire table. So it will generate the first row. There is another function which is inside this MySQL API is fetch field. So fetch field result arrow fetch field name. What will you do? It will fetch the next field in the sequence, and arrow name will be the main. So that means what? First result of this particular function will be emp id. Then it will be emp name, emp address, and emp salary. All those four field names will be placed into the four cells of the first row. So it will form the heading. And then using these two for loops, nested for loops, one outer loop going over from I is equal to 0 to num result. Num result is the number of rows. How many rows are there? And the inner for loop is going over for j is equal to 0 to num fields. How many fields are there? Okay. So using which every time when you access the row of j, what it will do? The each content of each row, each column corresponding to each row, fetch one row at a time. It will be an associative array called row. Row of j will give me row of 0, row of 1, row of 2, 3, and so on, as many number of fields are there. Those values will be put into the td tag of the row. So likewise, as many number of rows are there, as many number of rows will be added up to the HTML table, and finally close the table. So if you run this script, you should get a tabular representation of all the records in our employee table. Incidentally, in this table so far we have added only one record, so you should be seeing only one record displayed in the table. First row will be the headings, and second row will be the one record that we added. Okay, so let us run this and verify our result. So MySQL i2.php, then I execute that. This is of course the connection successful message. Afterwards, the table is created or rendered by our PHP script, of which the first row is the names of the columns in that employee table, and the second row is the actual row in the employee table. So because there is only one table, only one row has occurred. But then, as many number of rows will be done, they will be displayed one below the other. No issues with that. So that is a demonstration of both procedural interface as well as the object-oriented interface of this MySQL API. In this video, we shall see how error handling activities are performed in a PHP application. So this program is a demonstration of the die function in PHP. Die function, whenever it is encountered, the program will be terminated at that point only. The rest of the program will not be executed. And the die function optionally takes a string argument, which is a message to be displayed and conveyed to the user the reason of the program being terminated. So for example, here die in the bracket in front of die, I am writing file not found. So if the dice function will be executed, it will display the file not found message, and then it will terminate. In this program, I am using a function called as file exist. This is a library or built-in function in PHP, which tests whether this file name test.txt is present in the current path or not. If it is not present, that means not file exists will be true. If it is true, then the die function will be executed. It will display file not found as a message, and the rest of the program will not be executed. If on the other hand, if this file is present, then this not file exists will not be true, so the else part will be executed. the given file will be opened using the fopen function. Message display will be open file successfully. If at all there are any more statements, those will be executed in the sequence. So that's how the die function will be used. Depending on whether the given file is present or not, the file will be either opened successfully or the die function will execute and the termination of the program will take place. So let us run this script and test for ourselves. This program is saved in the document root of the server. If at all there is a test.txt file in that folder, it will be open. Otherwise, file not found message will be displayed by the die function. Okay, so let us see. So I am now entering this die.php URL. The file is not found, obviously because the test.txt is not present in that htdocs folder. Okay, so let me now change do the certain changes in the program and give the file name which is some file name which is already present. So if I give that file name, then instead of file not found, I should get a file open message. Okay, so let me go to the script, change the test.txt to something which is present. Okay, so I have changed it to new file.txt. The file is already present in the document root. So after doing these changes, let us go back to the browser and execute this and see that the message. So I just refresh this page and the message will be open file successfully. That is because the new file.txt is indeed present in the given folder. So that is how the die function can be effectively used. Instead of the unilateral die function, you can also define a custom error handler and delegate the activity of error trapping and generating error message to this custom error handler function. So how to write that custom error handler and setting it as a default customized error handler that we will see. So let us now see how a custom error handler function can be used in a PHP script. To set a particular user-defined function as an error handler, you have to use a function called as setErrorHandler. This is the name of the function, handle error, which will be eventually handling the error if at all it is created or it creeps up into the program. So this error handler function has been defined to accept two arguments. One is the error number and error string. Right. So if at all in the rest of the program any error occurs, then this handle error function will be executed and it will receive two arguments, the error number and the description of the error called as error string. So if whenever this function is executed, it will print this error number followed by the value of the variable error error and error string. Additionally, it will execute or rather echo the message terminating the PHP script and the program execution. Will anyway want the program to be terminated there, so you use the die. Okay, so this is the handler function defined, this one, and it has been set or a monolithic metric to handle the error situation. Now, in the rest of the code, what I am trying to do is I am trying to open fopen is the function which opens a file. Which opens a file in the read mode. If it is successful, then the success message will be displayed. If it is not there at all, then obviously PHP is going to throw an error, and we have already said that a particular function is going to handle the errors. So the control of the program will be directly handed over to this function to print the error message and stop. And at the top of the script, we have used a function called as error reporting. That error reporting function will decide what type of errors will be reported. So we have seen that there are different error levels. There are warning, there is error, there is notice, etc. So error means all those errors which are of the type error, those will be reported. Whenever that type of error will be generated, the handle error function will be executed, and that will be the error message. So let us run this script. Not present. The name itself suggests that the file is not physically the file is not present. So you expect the error message to be printed error number, error string, and terminating the script, etc. Okay, so let us see. So custom error.php is the name of the script. I'm giving it in the URL. So that is the output of the handler function. Error number. What is the error message? No such file or directory. Terminating PHP script is what we have hard-coded as the echo message. Okay, so this is how the custom error handler can be used. In this video, we should see the exception handling as implemented in a PHP application. Now this PHP script is used to demonstrate the functioning or mechanism of the well-known try, throw, and catch mechanism, which is very popularly used in many other computer programming languages to process the exceptions. And this program is also demonstrating a very commonly you commonly come across this type of exception, which is called the division by zero exception, and it occurs whenever you try to divide a number by zero. So even though mathematically speaking, a number divided by zero is infinity, it is not possible to express or represent an infinity in a computer with a finite memory. So let us create such a situation where this division by zero error will exceptionally occur or generate, and how to process that. So I'm going to run this program in the console mode because I want the user to enter the two numbers. Even if at all the denominator is zero, then it will throw an exception. That exception will be directed towards the catch block. It will display the error message. Now what is the error message? The division by zero is the error message. This statement will accept a number from the standard input, another number also from the standard input by using the scanf function. Now this statement is the one which is likely to have an exception. So before the program bumps into this statement, I want to throw an exception if y is equal to 0. So if I have what I'm saying, if y equal to 0, throw. That means the control of the program will be diverted from the regular sequence. Instead of letting the program to go to this, I want the program to be diverted, or the control to be taken out from here to here. So this exception, and the object of this exception will be processed by this catch block exception E is the exception object, and the associated error message is called as the get message. So the get message here we are passing on is division by 0. So you expect the division by 0 message to be printed. So it's a very simple example. Let me open the command window now and run the program from there. So the command window is in front of you, and I'm executing this script exept1 exept1 I should write .php. If I execute this, to ask the number to be inputted, I input something, and if I input some other number which is not 0, it will give me the result. But if I again run it, I give a number, and second number happens to be 0. So it will print the division by 0 message which is coming out of the catch block. That's how the try catch throw mechanism is employed in PHP. After seeing the example of try, catch, and throw, there's one more way of processing the exceptions, and that is defining a custom exception handler. So this example is a demonstration of a custom exception handler in PHP. So you have a function called as set exception handler, which using which you can assign a user-defined function to handle the exceptions that may be arising in a PHP script. So the function here, I have defined a function called as exception handler, which receives one particular argument. If this function is executed, the message that will be displayed is uncaught exception, and the message that is associated with the exception object. Right? And this function I want to assign as my customized or custom exception handler. So whenever in the rest of the program any exception occurs, instead of the regular catch block, which is normally used to handle or process the exception, instead of that, this exception handler function is going to be executed, doing all the activity of handling the exception. Right? So this is the mechanism that should be in place. The rest of the program is very simple. Two variables, two values are to be input stored in x and y. If y happens to be equal to 0, the program throws an exception, a new exception that is an object of the exception class. This is the argument division by 0 that will be given on to this the get message. So as soon as the exception is generated, this set exception handler will be activated. The control will be transferred to this function, and the message will be printed as uncaught exception division by 0. Otherwise, if no exception, then the regular normal operation of printing the result of the division will be taking place. So let's go back to the command window and execute this function. So the command window is in front of you. From the command line, I'm executing this custom execp.php like this. First number, some number, second number, the regular operation of division will take place. But if I give some number, but I give the denominator as 0, then the exception object will be thrown. That will be processed by this exception handler, custom exception handler that we have executed. This error, it is exception message. So that is how the custom exception handler can be assigned or can be put into service by the set exception handler function. In this video, we shall see the get method. The method is get. So the data sent to the server-side PHP script is sent using the get method. So as a result, what happens? The entire form data is the key and value pairs of the form element and its value. They are concatenated together and they are attached to the PHP script that you are going to call. Here, which PHP script is being called get method. So the form data will be sent to the server as get method.php, and in continuation with the name of that, all the key value pairs like name is equal to whatever name you will enter, age is equal to whatever age you will enter, will be attached to the URL, and that URL will be processed by the server. PHP side script will be processed like that. The URL will contain the name of the script, and appended to it is the query string, which contains the key and value of each form element that you will enter when you press the submit button. So when you press the submit button, that query string will be received by the PHP script. That will happen second time, because when the get method.php, this is the name of the PHP script that will be opened by the browser. First time this get variable will get $_get submit. First time the submit button is not going to be pressed, so therefore this will not be executed. But when it will be pressed, submit button will be pressed, the same script will be processed by the PHP server. Now the submit button is pressed, so therefore this each statement will be processed, and from the get associative array, the values associated with the get name and get age will be equal back to the browser. So more or less the same thing that happened with the post method. Only difference is that when the get method is used, the form data is appended to the PHP script that is mentioned in the action equal to attribute. Okay, so we can see that that particular URL is how it is created. We will run this example, and I will show you the exact query string that is displayed in the address bar of the browser. Okay. So I open this get method.php in my browser. The form is appearing with two text elements, name and age. I now enter some data and press submit button. Now as soon as I press submit button, the query string will be formed. Name is equal to our name, age is equal to 33, and that will be appended to this get method.php, because it is going to be redirected towards the same PHP script, because it is action is equal to has been set to the PHP server, right? So if I press submit button, there you see the query string is name is equal to Anil and age is equal to 33 or 33, and submit is equal to submit query. That was the name of the button. So this is the entire query string that is attached, from which the value associated with get name and get age is fetched by the PHP script from the associative array. So this is the behavior of get method, right? After the get method, we will now see how the post method works. So let us see the use of different HTTP methods. This example is using the post method, and this is the HTML form Okay, in which there are two text elements. Input type is equal to text. The first text element is to enter the name of the text element itself is name, and the second text element name to identify that text element is age. Okay, and then there is a input type is equal to submit, it is a submit button. So that when the user enters the data and presses the submit button, the data is sent to the server side script, and that server side script is this one. I'm using the special variable called as PHP self, which means that the data is posted back to the same script in which the form is there. Okay, so when this form is opened in the browser for the first time, the submit button is not pressed, so therefore this condition is not true, and therefore this PHP script will not be executed and the form will be displayed. But when the data is entered and submit button is pressed, that means what? The associative array server side variable called as $post, in which the submit variable is entered, or submit variable is set. So therefore this is true. Then what will happen? From the $post array, this is the called as super global, which stores the form data in the form of an associative array, where the name of the element is the key and the value entered to that element is the value. So in order to fetch the values associated with the keys, I'll say $_post name, which will give me whatever value that was entered inside the text box named as name, and similarly is. So this will be executed when the user clicks the submit button. So that is how the form data is accessed by the PHP script, which is the value of the action attribute of the form. The method is post. Okay, so this is the use of post method. Now I'll run this example and see that the form data that is entered is fetched by the PHP script. Okay. So on the address bar of the browser, after the of course the web server is running now, I enter localhost post method.php. I get a form. I enter some data into this, and some age. If I press submit button, then what is going to happen? The action attribute is redirected towards the same post method.php because of the PHP self variable. This data will be sent as the data in the post $_post associative array, and from which the key and value, using the key, the values are fetched and they are echoed back to the browser. So this is the output. So this is how the form data is sent to the PHP script by using the post method. The use of post and get method we have seen. There's another way of using or processing the form data on the server side, that is by using the $_request variable, that is now the super global that is maintained by the server. Another way of processing the form data on the server side script is using the request associative array. As you know, the request server variable or request associative array can be used to get the form data, obtain the form data that is sent by the get method as well as the post method. So it really doesn't matter whether method is equal to get or method is equal to post is used. Of course, it will have an effect on the query string that will be generated. But then, as far as the fetching of the data from the form is concerned, all you have to do is use the associative array called as request. So request name will give me whatever the user has entered in the first text element, and request age will give me whatever the user has entered in the age text element. After the submit button is pressed, first when this request method.php is displayed by the browser the first time, obviously because the button has not been yet pressed, so this condition will fail. This will not be echo. Instead, the form will be displayed. After entering the data, if you press submit button, because the data is going to be posted to the same page again, because I'm using PHP self as the action attribute of the form. Second time around, this condition will be true, and therefore these two lines will be equal. Welcome the value of the name element in the form and age element in the form will be displayed. And this will not be displayed second time because it is exiting from the if condition. Okay, so more or less the same thing that happened in the post or get method. The same thing, same data can be fetched using the request variable also. But we shall see now. So for first time, I am running this example with the method is equal to get. Okay. So the request method.php is open in the browser. Localhost request method.php. The same form is created. I will now enter some data. And submit. You remember that the method is used as get. So therefore the query string will be the concatenation of the key value pairs. Right. Now I will change the method to post and reopen the form. You see that the query string doesn't appear in the URL. So I have changed the method is equal to post now. And the same form is opened. And now if I press the submit button, because the data is posted, sent by the post method, the query string will not appear here. But the query string, the data of the query string can be fetched from the request server variable as before. Where you see the data can be fetched. So these are the three different ways in which the form data can be processed by the server-side PHP script using post method, get method, or request variable. Right? In this video, let us see what is the one of the new important features that have been added into PHP 7 called as scalar type declarations. This example shows you how to use the scalar type declarations in the PHP 7 function. Scalar type declaration is a new feature that is added to PHP in its PHP 7 version. So using this feature, you can actually declare the data type of the formal arguments to a particular function. For example, here I have declared a function called as average, which is designed to calculate the average of two arguments that are set to it by the calling environment. So the first argument will become x, second value will become y, and it will calculate the average and return. But I want to ensure that these two arguments are integer. So therefore, to prefix the two arguments, I have used integer int $x and int $y, so that we ensure that the two variables or two arguments that this x and y receive, they will be integer. So also, I also have specified what is the return type of the return value of the function. So that is defined by this int, which is given after the name of the function, give a colon and specify the return type, and then the body of the function will be written. Okay, so these are the scalar type declarations of the arguments, and this is the scalar type declaration of the return value. So the execution is simple. Just call the average function giving the two values. They will be picked up by x and y, and then the value will be returned. The average will be returned. So this is fairly straightforward as it was in case of the PHP 5. So let me just execute this function and verify it. Okay. So I'm just starting the program by giving the URL in the browser scalartype.php. Average is equal to 15, so this is as per expectation. What we shall see is how the PHP program will behave if the data types are marked integer. So for example, out of this 10, 20, 120, if I make it as a string, then what happens? So here what I have done, I have given the two arguments to this average function, as one is 10 integer, the other is 20, it is not 20. So when this function is executed, how does the scalar type declaration have an effect on the actual execution? Now this scalar type declaration is implemented in two ways. One is called as the coercive mode and the other is called as the strict mode. So the coercion means what? This 20 will be automatically converted into a corresponding integer value by the PHP engine. So therefore, even if the string, this is a string, inverted comma means it is a string, but because it contains a digit characters, 20 will be converted into 20, they will be given to the y variable, and the result will be the return value, which is equal to 15 as was the case earlier. So even if I make it as within inverted commas 20, I'm going to get the same result. Let us see. So even after changing the second argument to string, the same result is displayed. So that is called as a coercive mode of scalar type declaration. In order to enforce the strict adherence to the data types of the arguments in the function and the values that are sent to it, you have to start your PHP script by this statement: declare strict types is equal to 1. So which means that now the PHP interpreter or PHP engine will see to it that the data types of the formal arguments and the data types of the formal arguments are same. If they are not same, then it will raise an exception. Okay, so now that the scalar type is equal to 1 has been declared, and then if I try to send 10 and within inverted commas 20, then the automatic conversion of 20 to y, string 20 to integer y, will not take place, and therefore you expect, when you execute this program, you expect a certain error or exception to generate on your browser. So let us see. So I'm executing the same script. Now you see there is a fatal error uncalled type error. Argument to pass to the average function must be of the type integer, but you are given string. So it is now enforcing a strict type similarity because of the declared strict types is equal to 1 statement at the beginning. Okay, so if I again go back to the code and change that inverted comma 202 back to 20, now the program will behave properly. Change it to normal 20 instead of the string 20 and re-execute the script. You should get average is equal to 15. Now this scalar type enforcement, either in the coercive way or in the strict mode, can also be applied to the return value also. So if I now change this formula of calculation of value to something like this. So what happens? The division of this x plus y divided by a certain float value will be a float. That means this value variable will contain a certain float. But you are mentioning that the return value of this function is an integer. And now that the declaration of strict types is enabled, declare strict types is equal to 1, this will not be allowed. Why? Because the function returns a value which is not integer. So therefore, when you try to execute this, it will again give a set error saying that the integer value or the return value of the function is not integer. Okay, so let us now again run the program. So that the changes in the return value type, if I try to run, again it is giving an encore type error. Return value of the integer average function must be integer. It is returning a float and that is not allowed. So that is how the scalar type declaration can be coercively enforced or strictly enforced. In this video, another new feature of PHP 7 I will introduce to you called anonymous class. So this is the example of an anonymous class in PHP 7. So in order to create an anonymous class, actually the anonymous class is the one which doesn't have a user-defined name. So you can directly create an object of a unnamed or anonymous class. So this is the object of that anonymous class equal to new. New is the operator which will create a new object class. This new class will create an unnamed sort of class, and in front of which this is 10, I want to pass on the value to its constructor. Okay, so inside the class I have one data member variable member variable called as x. So private $x is my instance variable or member variable, in which in the same class this is a constructor. So the value that is passed here will become the value of this arrow x. So that means this x. And then there are two functions inside the nameless or anonymous class. One is add, other is subtract. So whatever argument that may have been passed to this add function, that and the value of x will be added and it will be returned. Same thing is in the subtraction. So let us now see what happens. This obj is the object of this class, which has this arrow x being set equal to 10. And if I call now obj arrow add, so this function will be called because this function is belonging to this object, and the value that is passed to that function is 20. So what will happen? This 20 will go to this y. This arrow x is anyway 10 because it is coming from the constructor. So 10 plus 20 will be the value of this variable result. Similarly, if I call this add arrow or obj arrow sum or subtract, so this function will be called, this file will become the value of y. This arrow x is instance at the time of instance creation. The value of x has been set to 10. So 10 minus 5 will be the value of this result. So that's how an anonymous class, a new feature in PHP 7 that can be constructed and used. So let us run this and see the result. So this is the URL anonymous.php in my browser. Result is addition is equal to 30, subtraction is equal to 5. Addition is the first result is the call to the inner function add inside the anonymous class, and sum, that is for subtraction. In this video, we should see another new feature of PHP 7 called as null coalescing operator. So another new feature of this PHP 7 is this coalescing operator that we will now put it into practical use. What this operator does is it verifies whether a particular variable is set or not. If it is set, actually this double question mark is called as a coalescing operator or coalesce operator. There are two operands, one on the either side of this double question mark. The first operand is the one which you want, or the one which you want to verify whether it is being set or not. And if it is not set, or if it is set, then this expression will be returned. Otherwise, this expression will be returned. If it is set, then the set variable will be returned to user. Otherwise, this string will be returned to the variable called user. Actually, this is a sort of a replacement for the ternary operator that you usually see in most of the programming languages, where a certain expression which will return either true or false. After this expression, this question mark is used, and after the question mark, two operands are given, separated by the column. If this logical expression is true, the first operand is returned, otherwise the second operator is returned. Now this ternary operator, specifically if you want to verify whether a certain variable has been set or not, for that you use this coalescing operator. So this is the variable that you want to see whether it is set before calling this script. If set, then the set variable itself will be the value of the variable called user. If not, then this thing will be the value of the user. Okay, so if I call this script coalesce.php directly in the browser, there is no question of this script being called by a certain client-side HTML script which may be containing a form, etc. So there is no question of this user variable being set. If it is not set, then it will display the not passed as the value of user, and it will be displaying username not passed. So also the output of the ternary operator. But if I create a form and in which a form element named as user is there, and then there is a action parameter or action attribute of that form set to this coalesce.php, then obviously what will happen? This user form element will be set. So $get user will be having a certain value which will be provided by the form. So therefore this will be true. So therefore user will be equal to the name of the user that you may have entered in the form. So you get the output as username is equal to XYZ, say for example. Okay, so this behavior of coalescing operator now we shall see. By running this example, I'll open the browser. First I will call this script directly, and then I will call this script to a certain HTML form. Okay. So here this PHP script is open, and as soon as I execute username not passed, this is the output of the coalescing operator, and this is the equivalent output of the ternary operator. Okay, now what I will do, I will open a form like this. Okay, and this text box is named as user. So if I type something here, press submit button, this coalesce.php script will be executed. It will have within the get server side variable, server side associative array, so to say, it will have a get user, the value for the get user, and therefore it will retrieve or obtain that XYZ as the value of the user variable in that script, and it will print that. That's it. This is the output of the coalescing operator, and this is the output of the ternary operator. So this confirms the behavior of the coalescing operator in PHP. In this video, we will come to know about the spaceship operator, one of the new features of PHP 7. So let me explain the use of spaceship operator. This one is the new operator that is introduced in PHP 7. You can think of this spaceship operator as a two-way comparison operator. And the symbol of this operator is less than, less than, equal to, and greater than. So normally the comparison operators are returning either true or false. But this operator, the spaceship operator, returns three values. If the two operands on the either side of this operator are equal, then it returns 0. If the first operand is greater than the other, then it returns 1. On the other hand, if the first operand is less than the other, the second one, it returns -1. So the three possible return values are 1, 0, -1. 1 is the first operand is greater, 0 both are equal, and -1 if the second operand is greater. So here I am demonstrating a few examples of the usage of this operator. So first expression compares 5 with 10 by 2. First operand is 5, second operand is 10 by 2. So incidentally, these two operands are going to be the same, so this should return 0. So what should be the output of the first line? 5 spaceship 10 by 2 equal to 0. Second expression is 5 spaceship 10 upon 2.1. So this is going to be, something like, for sure this will be less than 5. So this will be greater, this will be less. So you expect this to return 1. Okay, because 10 upon 2.1, that means the division will always be less than 5. Third expression is 3.142 spaceship 22 upon 7. So this is a well-known pi mathematical constant. Its value is 3.142 and a few more digits after this 3.142. So which means that this is always going to be less than this. The actual value of 22 upon 7 will be more by this, by a certain 0.000 something. So you expect this to be greater, so that means you expect -1. Similarly, I am using or performing the spaceship of a substring of hello world with hello. So substring hello world 05 will separate hello. So in a way, the left operand is going to be hello, and the right operand is also hello. So therefore both are equal. So you expect this to be equal to 0. Okay, so using the spaceship operator with numbers, integers, float, and strings. These three examples are used in this in this code. So let us run this and verify the result of the spaceship operator in use. So this is the spaceship.php. The result is 5 spaceship 10 by 2 is 0. 5 spaceship 10 by 2.1 is 1, as I told you, because 5 will be greater. 3.142 spaceship 22 upon 7 is -1. And spaceship between hello world and hello is going to be 0 because both are same. Okay, so this is the confirmation of the behavior of this new operator in PHP 7. In this video, let us have a look at another new PHP 7 feature called CSPRNG. So this program uses two new functions that are introduced by PHP 7, and the purpose of these two functions is to generate random numbers which are secure for cryptography. So cryptographically secure pseudo random number generators. These are the two functions. One is random bytes and another is random int. So the random bytes function generates a sequence of bytes randomly up to 5 number of bytes. Okay, and that string of 5 bytes is stored in this variable. If I print it, those bytes will be displayed, but not all of those bytes may have a printable representation. So what you have to do is to convert the sequence of bytes by the binary to hex function, so that a certain legible representation of all those bytes will be displayed. And the second function is random int. This is the minimum value and the maximum value in between which a random integer number will be generated, and its value will be stored in this variable that you can print it out. So these are the two functions for generating pseudo random numbers, which are secure as far as the cryptography is concerned. So let us run this, and randomization also we will run it couple of times so that you will see the random changes that appear in the output. So this is csprng.php. This is the sequence of bytes, and this is its hexadecimal representation, and this is of course the number from between 0 to 999. If I rerun it again, the random sequence of bytes and numbers is visible. Okay, so that is how these two functions can be used. Right. In this video, we should see the concept of cookies in a PHP web application. So here now I will demonstrate the way in which a cookie is set and cookie is retrieved in PHP. Actually, I will show you three different codes. One is the HTML form, second is the PHP script which will set the cookie, and the third is the PHP script which will read back the cookies. So starting with the HTML form, the name of the HTML page is cookieform.html. All it has is a simple form in which two text elements are there, and the method is post. The form data is sent by using the post method to a PHP script called as setCookie.php. When you press the submit button, the data will be directed towards the setCookie.php. So what is there in the setCookie.php? This is that PHP script. So all we are doing is fetching the form data by using the $_post associative array. Remember that the HTML elements are having the names as name and age. So these are the keys. The values associated are retrieved and stored in the two variables name and age. So use those variables to send the cookie. The syntax of setCookie function is setCookie, the name of the cookie and the value. Okay, the name of the cookie and value. Here you are setting the time interval, the URL, and the other parameters that explained in the earlier discussion. So those two cookies will be set. It will just give a message cookies are set, and then it will give you an hyperlink. If you click that, this getCookie.php will be opened. that is having a call to rewrite the cookie. So this is the get cookie dot php. What it does, it simply finds the value associated with the name key of the dollar underscore cookie associative array that is a part of the request server variable. So from which the cookie name and cookie age are fetched and they are displayed. So whichever values that you may have given in the earlier form, they will be read back. So these are the three different codes. One is the HTML form, other is the set cookie script, other is the third is the get cookie script. I show all these three activities in front of you by running starting from the cookie form.html. So this cookie form.html contains two text elements. Let us enter some data into it and press the submit button. What happens? The form will take the data back to a PHP script called setCookie.php. The two cookies will be set. Right? Now there is a hyperlink which takes me to the getCookie.php which reads back the values. So these are the two values. So this is a small but effective example of setting and retrieving the cookies in PHP.